know what that sound means. It's time for Pacific Indians Chatter. I'm your host, Cody Kelly, joined back this week with my co-host, Scott Brown, and student correspondent Charlie Meyer is in studio.
Yeah, we survived that Friday night trip to Herman. A little bit chilly. Kind of got a Herman cheeseburger, but no cheese.
Yeah, I heard they were a little pricey too.
Yeah, I got my change back eventually, but I didn't get any cheese on mine, so we had to stop the bus in New Haven at the Casey's on the way home.
That's okay. Charlie did a great job filling in last week, and now we bumped him back down to Charlie's corner.
Good work, Charlie.
All right, so let's jump out to Riverbend. There's a lot that happened to Riverbend this week. It rained, so they were rained out. It's kind of been the theme of the spring so far. Is a lot of rainouts, but we'll make them up at some point. Big Metal meets next week at Herman on Tuesday, and Hillsboro at Pacific, and then Union to finish up the season. So that was all of our meets. Let me try that again. Big Metal meet at Herman, then we got one at Hillsboro, then at Pacific, and then at Union to finish up the season.
So just 4 left for the Riverbenders.
Yeah, the Riverbend, I mean, it's unfortunate for them. They've lost a couple that probably won't be made up. So
we're down to like 27 days of school left. We're on the home stretch.
Yeah, Coach Missy has a countdown on her wall up there by her desk in the gym. I see it every day. I guess now then let's take it up to 425 Indian Warpath, and then let's talk a little bit high school athletics.
Yeah, I'll start with my JV baseball team. Last Friday, I said we made the trip to Herman for the Pacific JV tournament, although we played at Herman, and we played at Union in the next part of the tournament, and St. Clair hosted a bracket as well with some scheduling that we moved around this year, so thanks to them for hosting. But we took a 15-2 win at Herman on Friday night. Trey Kulik, 6-inning pitched for the win. The freshman, super efficient, had good breaking stuff, did a great job on the mound for us. And then the next morning we got up and drove over to Union, had a 2-0 lead, 2-0 or 2-1 lead most of the game. Had a tough bottom of the 5th inning, and we ended up coming back to tie it 4-4. We got walked off in the bottom of the 6th inning. Drew Beffa was solid on the mound with 5 innings, and we ended up winning the 3rd place game over Sullivan. Bennett Parker, the freshman on the mound, was lights out electric. 6-inning pitch for the win, and we took home the 3rd place hardware in our tournament.
Yeah, while you were at Union for the Pacific JV tournament, we were at Pacific for a double header with Harrisburg. From a pretty good little trip for them to come into town. Former freshman baseball coach here at Pacific, Coach Ackman, joining us again. Was kind of nice. Reminiscing about how the field's changed since he's been here in the 2007 or so season.
Great guy. I love Coach Ack.
The Indians came out on top with 2 7-0 wins against Harrisburg that day. The Game 1 winner went to Xavier Cox, and Game 2 winner went to freshman Jake Collier with 5 1/3 pitched and 10 strikeouts. The Indians had big hitting performances from Trevor Klund, who was 7 for 8 on the day. He's an on-base machine out of that leadoff spot. Ethan Simpson chipped in with 3 hits on the day, and Carter Myers had a 4 for 4 performance in Game 2. Prior to that game, though, I do want to say we retired number 10, Matt Leary's jersey, so I'd like to thank Michelle and Steve Johnson for coming out and being part of that and throwing out the first pitch with us.
Yeah, it was tough for me to miss that, but well done from the video from what I saw, and great kid, always be remembered.
Yeah, with that too, on YouTube, Pacific Indians Athletics, the baseball team is streaming all their games, even road games this year for the most part. Then Tuesday, we picked up a game on Tuesday morning to play Tuesday night, which is always tough. We went to Vianney, a very good program, formerly nationally ranked Vianney.
Yeah, it had a feel to it. I looked up, it's the 5th inning, and we're only like 65 minutes into the game.
Yeah, it was a 3-2 loss for the Indians, their first loss on the baseball varsity side of things this year, dropping them 9-1. But Weston Kulik was very good on the mound, 6-inning pitch, only allowed 3 runs, 2 walks, 1 strikeout. And Andrew Payne had the big 2-run home run for the Indians to drive in their 2 runs of the night.
Yeah, and it's a good matchup. I think we needed to be challenged, and we got challenged. We went on the road to a traditionally powerhouse St. Louis large school program, and we did not embarrass ourselves. I thought we played really well.
And I will give a shout out to Vianney. They have a very, very nice complex at all turf. That is something that you would love to see here at Pacific one day.
Yeah, it's elite, and they spent some money on it, but they did it the right way.
Yeah, it was worth every penny. Now we jump over to the soccer side of things. Soccer played Washington on Monday. They got a big 1-0 win. Emmeline Steele had 8 saves in the shutout, and Shelby Kellerman had the game winner. We might hear a little bit from Emmeline here later. Mm-hmm. And then they also played Rolla on that Tuesday night. They beat Rolla 3-2 in overtime. Goals by Megan Langenbacher, Abby Hall, and Ryan Murphy got the golden goal in overtime off a header. And let me say, we got off the bus at Vianney. We're trying to figure out what happened in the soccer game because it just ended, who won. And Ryan comes walking up to the locker room with just her nose stuffed from taking, and she took the header right to the nose, but
right to the face.
We were like, man, you all right? She goes, I'm fine. I don't care. I scored the game winner.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
If you're going to bleed, putting a golden goal in to get the win.
Just that response of, I don't care. I scored the game winner. That's all that matters.
What a memory.
And the JV girls soccer had a tough week. They lost to Washington 2-0 and Rolla 4-0. And that will do it for soccer, on the soccer side of things. Before we jump into track, we have a news segment this week. It's called The Hot Seat. We're going to bring on some athletes and coaches. And you're going to kind of hear it. I'm not even going to explain it. We're going to ask some random questions, some either or, and let them go. So we're going to throw it down to that segment right now. I'm joined with Emmeline Steele. She's our first guest on the rapid fire section, the new thing to the show, the hot seat. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, we'll start off. More doors or wheels?
Wheels.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
TikTok or Instagram?
Instagram.
Batman or Superman?
Superman.
Pizza or tacos?
Tacos.
Disney hero or villain?
Hero.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Super speed or super strength?
Strength.
Blues or Cardinals?
Cardinals.
Scoring a PK or stopping one?
Stopping.
And that's it. She's officially off the hot seat. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully that'll be a fun little segment to get some athletes on and some other coaches on just briefly. Coach Brown, go ahead and take over on track.
And the track team's done a little bit of work this week. They competed at the Union Varsity Invitational. The big picture, they had 4 gold medals, and we're talking some good teams came down. I know even Capital City from the Jeff City area was there, so there's quite a large group of competitors at this meet. But Satch Wolf, 110 high hurdles, he got a gold medal with a time of 15.17. Colin Haley is exceptional at the long jump. 20'6", won him the long jump. Lexi Lay won the 300 hurdles with a 49.83, and Elena Daniel won the girls 400 running a 65, which is her personal best, and that's impressive. And I'll turn it over to Charlie for a little more information on the track team.
Yeah, like you said, we went to Union. There was 10 teams there, including Washington, Sullivan, Owensville, Borgia, Union, St. James, St. Clair, Steelville, Capital City, and then us. I don't know how we placed as a team, but like you said, we did have a few first place medals, along with multiple other placing medals. We had a little ceremony before practice the other day. This coming week, we go to Washington for the relay meet, which is a bit of a different meet. It revolves heavily around team scores. There are 12 teams competing in this meet. This meet also includes a 4x100 throwers relay, which we're all excited about.
Is that one called the Knicks Relay? Is that what it's called? The big Washington Knicks Relay? Or is there different types of relays throughout the whole event?
It's more based on fully team scores. Like, if I throw something, I get a certain amount of points. Like, we're all looking to get points. It's not really us placing.
Okay.
And then they have the throwers relay.
Yeah.
I believe too, which is always a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be in that this year as of right now, so that should be interesting.
Well, good luck.
And quoting Coach Mendersky, we're looking to make a splash at this meet. And then on Wednesday, the JV goes to a 9th and 10th only meet at Sullivan, which should be a fun meet, and it gives these guys a chance to compete with some of their people their own age.
Yeah, it's very important to get some JV track meets in just so those kids can actually see what they're doing against their own as they continue to grow and move up in that program.
I agree with that. The golf team, Coach Shimza's got his kayak out. They've been rained out quite a bit this year. They were rained out this past week. Next Wednesday, they have a meet with Herman, and Friday are in the Sullivan tournament. So their frustrating season with the weather continues, but hopefully it'll clear up a little for them.
Yeah, I just checked the weather. It's supposed to rain Wednesday.
Oh, gosh.
That's about right for how it's been going on the golf side of things. We'd like to have Coach Shimza on, but it's hard to have him on when they haven't had a meet to even discuss anything about. Moving on, I reached out to Miss Pfeiffer, who is in charge of Pacific's DECA, to kind of catch up on what all those kids did. I also am a former DECA president, so that might have a reason.
So, explain to the listeners what DECA is.
So DECA is essentially a marketing and leadership club, which is great for college and all that stuff as you move forward. That's more what it's in. I'll read you some of the events they participated in. You'll kind of understand a little more of what they really cover. The District 8 is the district we've been in since I was in high school. The participants were Matt Christopete and Carter Myers did hospitality and tourism operation research, and they placed first place in the district. Ethan Flaherty in integrated marketing campaign and for service and business, second place. Alexis Haley in the community giving project, second place. Grace Littman in the community awareness project, first place. Ted Tony in restaurant and food service individual series event, first place. Kyra Schaefer came in third in entrepreneurship startup business plan. And Marissa Jinks won the leadership delegate to represent District 8 at the state and international competition, which is a really big deal. So you just kind of see some of those. It's mostly marketing, hospitality, any kind of type, something business related is what you're kind of covering there. But also one of the best things is the community projects. I remember those. We used to do the Brush Creek cleanup. We did all these other things, and it gets kids involved in a program and in the community doing community service, which is always nice to see. The students above, though, they all competed at state, and 3 students placed, and 2 of the students will be moving on to the International in Atlanta, Georgia this year, which is April 22nd. So that'll be next Saturday. They will head that way. Marissa Jinks is representing District 8 as the leadership delegate and participated in the Ignite Leadership Workshop, meeting people from all over the world. Kyra Schaefer is the District 8 Vice President as one of 12 state officers and will be moving to the IDC, participating in Ignite Leadership as well. So it's kind of the same as any sport. You know, you win your state, you move on and compete internationally with. And when we say international, I mean, it's everybody. It's countries coming into Atlanta, Georgia, kind of descending. So it's really a great opportunity to go there and sort of network with people from all over the country and all over the world. So that's kind of why it's a big deal to get to this far. So, like I said, they'll be in Atlanta, Georgia. Pacific usually has a pretty good group that goes to the International. I think they've been almost every year since I was in school. I think it was Anaheim back when I was in school, which is a little bit different trip. But, yeah, for those of you that don't know or students that don't know about DECA, definitely go check it out. It's really a fun time. You get to learn some stuff. You get to meet some people. Pacific has a very good program on that side of things, too.
Yeah, congrats to the DECA kids. I also heard a lot of names of some athletes in there with, Ted Tony and Ethan Flaherty, Kyra Schaefer, Matt Christopher, Carter Myers.
There's always been a lot of crossover. Like I said, I was a president. I had Ernest Watson, who was a varsity basketball player, was our vice president. So, I mean, it's just a different type of competition. And speaking of that, too, Speech Team has state next weekend.
Next weekend, I think 6 individual events they're competing in.
So DECA has internationals next week, and then state has 6 individual events next week. We'll definitely catch up on. That probably won't be on next week's show just because it'll be happening on Saturday, but it'll be the week after. And then as we get ready to move forward into performance of the week, don't forget, though, this week we're joined with the voice of the Indians, Mr. Carter. It was a great interview.
The legend, the voice. He was here, and you'll love it. He does a great job.
Yeah, Charlie got his first taste of PA announcing the other day at the varsity baseball game. Since Mr. Carter was unavailable that day, he did a very fine job.
What do you think, Charlie? Something you'd like to fill in for more regularly?
Yeah, I was a little slow to it at first. It's a little nerve-wracking just being out there, but I got used to it, and it was pretty fun.
Eventually, when you get names like Lee Wapatana pitch it, it's It's going to be a challenge.
Baseball's the best sport to start with, though. It's a little slower than announcing. Basketball and football comes out of nowhere a lot of times quick. So, all right, let's move forward. Everybody ready for a little
Performance of the week.
So we actually did have some games played this week. Makes it a little easier to pick your performance of the week. I'll let you start it off there, Coach. And what did you have?
I'm going with junior Indian baseball player, pitcher, and third baseman, Weston Kulik. He had a big performance on the mound versus the Vianney Golden Griffins. And his stat line was, it doesn't look super impressive when you hear about people with Ks, but going up there with getting 6 innings on the mound, only giving up 3 runs on the road, only walking 2 batters. He only had 1 K, but he was sharp, and he's kind of our guy that is, we consider him a curveball guy, and it was sharp that day. He was in and out on the plate. He had fastball command. I was really happy that Weston got it going, and I do call him Big Weston. I know some of the other guys like to call him, give him a little trouble because his younger brother plays for us too. But Big Weston, he competed that day. He gave us a chance to win, and it was kind of a shame we came out on the wrong end of a 3-2 decision. But if he continues to pitch like that with the other guys that we have on the mound, I think it could be a really fun spring for us all.
Yeah, and we learned his reaction time is very good, too, a couple times.
He got some balls smoked right at him up the middle, and I know his heart rate had to elevate that he caught those.
Yeah, that's was a good performance by Little Kulik, as the guys call him, or Biscuit, as some of us call him.
We've heard Biscuit before, too.
Yeah, Biscuit's one of the better nicknames I've heard in the 12 years I've been here. As we jump over to Charlie for his performance of the week.
Yes, I'm going to go with Elena Daniel, who placed first in the girls' 400 meter on Tuesday at Union. She ran a 1:05, and then she also brought home another medal for placing 5th in the girls' pole vault.
Great job, Elena.
And I will go with my performance of the week is Ryan Murphy. She had the golden goal. She's a very hard-nosed player. Yeah, there it is. A little rim shot for you, just if you missed it off my bad joke. Very hard-nosed player, but she is in the basketball side of things too. She's one of the hardest working players on the field, usually for both sports, and it paid off for her. At the goal line, ready for the ball in on the corner. It was a great corner by Shelby Kellerman. Put it right on her. Game winner. Nothing better than just a walk-off of any kind. So, Ryan Murphy, performance of the week.
Get out and see a soccer game. Get out and see a baseball game.
Yeah, it's starting to get nice, kind of. You could stand on the hill and see both when we're playing at the same time. Hopefully we get a night where we're not playing or they're not playing, and we can kind of pump up the crowd a little bit with each other. Soccer team's been playing really well down this stretch. They got a big one at Union coming up to try to make up for that one they lost earlier in the monsoon.
Yeah, let's hope they can pull that out. We've got a big one with Union coming as well.
Yeah, the Union seems to be the team to beat this season for Pacific sports. Well, that'll just about do it for us on the front end. But like I said, don't go anywhere. We got Mr. Carter joining us in studio when we come back. I know Coach Brown and me got to go to practice. So it's already time for practice. So stay tuned. We will be right back with Mr. Carter. And we're back in studio with our guest today. We're joined in studio with Mr. Larry Carter. I'm also joined with his son, Ryan Carter, one of our coaches, and Coach Brown is joining me today for a little interview session. It's nice to have everybody here.
Yes, good to see you, Mr. Carter.
It's good to be seen.
And little Carter over there.
Always be fan of the podcast.
Now,
All right, go ahead, Coach Kelly.
Just real quick, though, Mr. Carter had to bring Coach Carter to practice because he's still without his car. That's been the thing everybody's been having some fun with.
That's a story in itself, though.
Yeah, maybe we'll get into that at some point.
He just wanted it cleaned.
Yeah, he just
It got clean.
It got cleaned already, for sure.
driving through flash flood.
All right, our special guest today, the legend Larry Dean Carter, one of our special guys in our school district and our sports community. I'll start things off, Mr. Carter. I first met you, my first experience with you, I think I was about 21, 22 years old. I'm going to date myself here. And I show up to St. Clair to play slow pitch softball. And this rec director meets us out on the field first game, and he's just, gung-ho about softball in St. Clair. And we show up, and we're all young and had a couple of veteran guys, but we were just there to have fun. And we remember, my name's Larry Dean Carter, and I'm from St. Clair, Missouri. And I'm going to tell you what's going to go on with softball. And that was my first experience meeting Larry Dean. And little did I know, he'll become my boss someday. He'll become a legend in Pacific from the mic. And it was great to get to know you. I'm still happy to know you. And we're going to jump into some questions if that's all right.
Oh, very good.
All right. How did you get started in education? I mean, did you know in high school when you were going to go to school, and I know you have a music background, did you know you wanted to be a music teacher and eventually an administrator?
Graduating in 1978, at that time, no. I had jobs, I had everything that's going on. I worked at Six Flags, I worked different locations and everywhere else. But it all came while I was at Six Flags. A call came that says, we need a vocal music teacher. You got anywhere to go? I said, no. I had just gotten out of, finished up my college, and I'll be more than happy to come and interview. And that's where it started. And being home, it just helped me go all the way back to even my high school senior year. They needed my core director was going to be out for a while, and so they had a substitute teacher, but they had me do the music. Substitute teacher would recognize everything else in the being in the classroom.
And you ran the class.
I ran the class. I rehearsed the choir. We went and performed a concert, and it was just a great opportunity that just started there, and you like it, and you just follow it. Everything just kind of followed on through.
And how many years were you at St. Clair as a music teacher?
I believe 19.
Wow.
1989. That glorious year of 1985, 86 was my first year teaching.
Wow.
And stayed there till it came down here in 97.
Okay, and that transition from the music world,
Yes.
and you jumped right into being an assistant principal
Yes.
in Merrimack Valley School District. How did that go for you?
Oh, it was the things that you learned from other jobs helped with everything that was going on with administration. What I was doing with Six Flags was administration. You went from selling pickles and popcorn balls and soda all the way over to running the entire food service department through daily operation. And doing labor checks and this checks and staffing and hiring and orientation and everything else. All those things put together, which prepared me for what was going on.
Well, that kind of set the stage for you then. You kind of were right along the path. And then eventually when you get to meet the Baker family, you also have experience in the ice industry as well.
Well, yeah.
Because the whole family gets to do ice when you're a baker.
It's right.
So I remember, dealing with you guys and meeting you guys, and because I worked a little bit for Mr. Baker as well, and Tim's a good friend of mine too. But I've also got the experience to have you as a boss, and I really appreciate it. I know you love kids, and you had a lot of patience. But when kids came to the office and they needed, a consequence, you were there for that too. You're giving out hugs, but you'd also give out consequences when you needed. And what do you think, as an administrator for so long, what are the challenges to being a good administrator in a town like ours?
Sometimes a lot of the unexpected, having to deal with the unexpected. It's not you have to open yourself up to know that it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's not hours. An administrator's job is you're on call 24/7, no matter what happens. If the alarm goes off at 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, got to get up to the building. Got to, wake up the family. Sorry, go back to sleep. I got to go. The the challenges are you're never known what's going to happen every second. You know, you have a list of things to do for the day. You get to your office and you say, okay, I need to see this. Student needs to see that. Well, Mr. Carter, there's a fight down the hall. Okay, got to go. You know, so the things that everything that you're responsible for.
It's not.
I've got to say, everybody in the building.
I was not responsible for having anything fall off the wall and the alarm go off, just to let you know. Now, some of my coworkers probably were, but
That's what I heard. And yeah, there's a lot of things that you just don't know and happen, and they're life-changing events.
Well, kind of speaking over to the sports side of things, everybody kind of knows this, that knows anything about Mr. Carter, is if he's not wearing Pacific purple, he's wearing Cardinals red, which he has on today. He actually has on purple with it too, though. So
It's Friday.
Yeah. So my question then for you is, since we know you're a big Cardinals fan, what are some of your favorite Cardinals moments, and do you have a favorite player from the past that sticks out at you?
Oh, yes. Especially when the Cardinals would win the World Series. And, you know, I go back dating myself. Of course, the 64 Cardinals, I was born in 59. So I really wasn't aware of them winning the World Series in 64. 67, oh, forget it, buddy. Bob Gibson, Lou Brock, Kurt Flood, the 67 Cardinals. But my favorite that year was Orlando Cepeda. You know, so those memories just clicked, and at that moment, I can still remember second grade, the principal coming over the intercom saying, "You want to know who won this game?" Because those were day games, you know, in the World Series, and he goes, "Cardinals." And so from then on, you know, with Busch Stadium 2, and then the new Busch Stadium, it was just great opportunities to see a lot of games, and then we got to share that with. When we got down into Coleman Elementary, had a Cardinal Day out there for them, and then when we had our choirs and our band would alternate doing the national anthem before a game down there. So it's a great event, and then taking my glorious son. I don't know if you know him or not. We started going to Cardinal winter warm-ups, and really got to meet people that you just don't really realize you're going to meet.
Yeah, I think I got to meet your son whenever you came here in '97. That'd have been about first grade.
Yes, it was.
And then he immediately became our third baseman on the baseball team.
and now we've got him on the baseball staff. Well, that's awesome. Your love for the Cardinals, and just that passion. Do you collect memorabilia? I know Ryan kind of does. Or you have a memorabilia guy too?
Oh yeah, somebody would always help him with. I was always helping him, find out what he wants, and then he got into it on his own. There was an opportunity that people we had seen down at Cardinal Winter Warm Up, and they had opened up a store in Chesterfield, and we just got to talking about some things. They had a photograph that we were looking for, and he said, "Wow, that would be neat to have autographed." So we got that taken care of, and then they kept talking, and they finally go, "Do you know anybody needs a job in this autograph collecting store? You mean getting to meet these people?" I said, "Well, my son's coming back from college. He needs a job," and so we had an open opportunity for that, and it has just been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Yes, I've been collecting for a while, but
well, that's awesome. I'm a big Cardinal fan myself, even though Coach Kelly is kind of like his secondary team. But now you're known throughout these parts as the voice of the Indians. Depending on what night and what sport, you're usually at the mic somewhere in the fall with the football games and the winter with the basketball games, and I've been around all that with you. And the spring, now you're doing a lot of announcing for us in baseball. How did this talent and knack and love for announcing sporting events begin?
well, you remember the good old. I was mentioning the good old Cardinals of 1967, and I had a record. My cousin gave me a record of the 1967 season with Harry Carey and Jack Buck, and I'd listen to it. Those great things. The inspiration was this is something I can do for others to make them feel more important, to feel good. It's an instant motivator because, for example, everybody likes their name. You hope you like the name that you're stuck with, but when you hear your name, you want it pronounced right. And when you do something good, it's an immediate reward for that action so that you can want to do it again. If you're a batter coming up to the plate, you want to hear your name and you want to hear it pronounced right. All these things kind of started back when I was in college at Missouri Baptist College. One of my best friends, his name is Bob Shaw, is wonderful. His sister was a great teacher with the middle school. But he was doing a lot of the announcing of the men's basketball games at Missouri Baptist College. And when he moved on, while he was announcing, I was doing stats. I would do rebounds, assists, other things. And then they says, well, hey, he's gone now. Would you like to, are you interested? Well, okay. And they would, if you're familiar with some of the games, the basketball games here, they started shutting off the lights and in the spotlights and have the introduction starting five. And that gets people pumped up when you say their name right and they're coming out, again, instantaneous rewarding. But that's where I got my start into announcing was right there at Missouri Baptist College. And then when I got to St. Clair, I thought, did you do some announcing? Well, sure. So they had me do some JV football, and that's kind of where it started from there. Because then JV football, and then I did some assistant track coaching. So I did some track meets, and it went on and on from there. And then when I came down to Pacific, a couple of years later, when I first started down here in '97, I was there a couple of years. But then the activities director from St. Clair came to Pacific. And he goes, aren't you announcing down here? I said, well, no, you're our announcer. and
the rest is history.
And the rest is history as far as Pacific. So I was always with the St. Clair. And in St. Clair, all the opportunities you have, we got to host the district basketball tournament every year for quite some time. And I got to do a lot of the district basketball games. So there's a lot of games that I'd see fellow coaches that I got to know down here. The world famous Mr. John Lear and Scotty Brown. I don't know if you know them, but I'd be announcing their games and everything else. So that's where it started, and then it rolled and rolled and rolled.
Oh, I just have to thank you for being so good at it, because now I get to fill in for you every now and then, and that's a lot of pressure. So that's really, really nice of you to leave that for me. And then I got one this question's obviously one that I came up with. You're going to be able to tell. What did you like more, watching your son play sports here or watching him coach now currently?
You always, and remember this, you always love to watch your son. It doesn't matter how old he is or what he's doing. When he was a crusher, you're excited because they're learning. Everybody's learning. He's doing great. You're learning about me as a father at that point, because then my father tells him, "Oh, hey, tell him if he's not to take strike two, swing. You make sure you tell him that." On one tournament, I told him that, and he kind of upset him. He ran to his mom and said, "Hey, Daddy's yelling at me." And it makes you feel terrible, because it upset him. So of course I got in trouble from my wife.
Well, does that still happen though now that he coaches too?
No, it does not.
No,
100% no.
no, because this is a different thing that you're observing. Because at that young age, it's learning, and so you're excited to see him grow and see him grow. when you see him coach, you're seeing a different aspect of how he is communicating and teaching other participants. And he's how he communicates and talks with students, and it's helping them grow, So that's what you're observing as a coach, because you're observing. I've had to observe on the job coaches, and how they doing, how they talking, how they teaching, how they doing this. And when you see the patience and understanding that's coming from the presentation of being a coach, you have to do a lot of things. So short answer, I love watching my kid do everything. And I would hope everybody else would too.
Great answer. Even golf?
Oh, remember now, golf is my outlet.
I've seen him play golf recently, though. I don't think you want to watch your son play golf.
We like, at the Carter family, we like to get our money's worth. We like to see every inch of that course possible. It's just a beautiful game.
You do a great job at
You
that.
go to the right, you go to the left. You go to the right, you go to the left. Oh, we got one straight down.
Sometimes you end up in the bed of a pickup truck, but we won't go there.
Yeah, that's a great shot. That was tough to do. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Carter, for joining us. Before we wrap up, I will say that having you as a principal in middle school was awesome. You were a tremendous principal, so thank you for all that you did for us here at Pacific. Anybody else have anything they want to throw in before we wrap it up?
I did have one question. I know we kind of talked about it, but like as far as baseball is concerned, I know me and Cody would always talk our favorite players, how we would kind of copy their batting stances and stuff. As far as announcing, was there somebody that, you're trying to find your sound? Was there somebody you looked up to or tried to imitate?
You have to be yourself. You have your own voice. Like I said, when I was young, I was listening to Harry Carey and Jack Buck. Oh my gosh. And so I heard every, holy cow, it might be out of here. And you hear those things of excitement, because those things are bringing up excitement. And when that gets going, it gets everybody excited. But the thing about a person I've talked to before, the name, everybody loves to hear their name, but when they do something well, they don't want to hear it mispronounced. And to get to your question, listening to Jack Buck, listening to Joe Buck, and you kind of have those things as a reference, because when in my own personal life, when I hear somebody else announce, I think I'm Jack Buck and you're Joe Buck, right? But you're doing an excellent job, because it's an opportunity to make people feel good. I went down to, and hope I'm not taking up too much time.
No, you go right ahead.
Here we're gone in a Branson trip, and I said, Ryan, can you fill in for me? Do a football game for me. And he does it. He reads the script before the game, and somebody videotaped it and sent it on YouTube, not YouTube, but Facebook or whatever. And I'm listening to him announce and read the script. It's me. I hear my voice sounding from Ryan. And I'm just like going, it's awesome. So if I've answered your question, you have to become yourself first, but your inspirations are Harry Carey, Jack Buck, Joe Buck, commentators all the time.
You hear that, Charlie? That'll be good for you. Charlie did his first PA the other day for the baseball, so we've got a young one learning how to do it now already. All right, well, that'll just about do it now for us. Anybody else?
Mr. Carter, thanks for joining us. One of my favorite people. Always considered you a legend. Love to see you every sporting event I can, and keep plugging it for us.
I certainly will, sir.
Yeah, we'll hear Mr. Carter on Tuesday, hopefully, when we play DeSoto at home from the baseball side of things, if the rain stays away.
Tell that rain to go somewhere else.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to play. So thank you again for joining us. That'll do it for our show, and until next week, keep up the chatter.